Hello everyone, happy Friday. It is Friday evening and I am super excited to share some cards with you tonight. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And I have 3 simple stamping cards featuring the Timeless Tulips stamp set to share with you tonight. Now, I do a video on Tuesdays where I show lots of awesome embellishments and I use lots of dies and punches, but I also wanted to start showing people that they can do really pretty things without a lot of supplies. Because right now we are all housebound and some of us do not have a lot of extra income to spare. So I wanted to show some projects that you could use with things that you might already have in your home or with just a minimal investment. So tonight we are going to focus on the Timeless Tulips stamp set. This is from the January to June mini catalog. Now, as people are tuning in here, I'm just going to pull up my video here on my iPad so I can see who is watching. All right, if you are here, give me a hello so I know that you are here. Oh, I see Jen and Margie are watching. That is awesome. Hi, you guys. Hope you're having a good week. So as I was saying, this stamp set is only $23 here in Canada, and it gives you great value because not only are you getting some stamp images, but you're also getting some sentiments, which is great. Anytime you can get a stamp set that has both images and sentiments, it is a great value. Okay, who else is here? Oh, Deb's here from Calgary. Hi, Gail from Oakville. Glad you guys could make it this evening. I hope you've had a good week, as good as it can be under the circumstances we all find ourselves. But anyway, I showed some stepped up projects on Tuesday using the stamp set and the coordinating punch. Tonight, I am going to show you some simple projects that use just this stamp set, some ink colors from the Brights color family, and the Brights color family cardstock pack, as well as some plain old Whisper White. Okay, so with just a limited number of colors and a limited number of supplies, you can make some really pretty cards with this stamp set. Okay, hi Kathy Angus, how are you doing? How are things in Hespeler? I hope you guys have had a decent week. All right, so we're going to get right to it. I'm going to start with this one, this Mother's Day card. Now, this absolutely could be any occasion. It does not have to be Mother's Day. But I decided Mother's Day is coming up, and chances are we may need one of these cards if you have a mom or if you know a mom. This is going to be the year to recognize all moms, because a lot of us are struggling with kids at home and trying to work from home and trying to teach our kids at home. So it is a challenge this year to be a mom, and absolutely I am going to be sending Mother's Day cards to all kinds of people who I know are really having a tough time right now. So I'm going to show you how to make this card. I have already gone ahead and cut some cardstock ahead of time. So this is a piece of Whisper White cardstock. It is cut to 4 by 3 inches. Okay, and we're going to do most of our stamping on that. And I have several of the images from the stamp set. My color palettes, these are all from the Brights color family. I'm using Daffodil Delight, Melon Mambo, and Granny Apple Green. I wanted some nice, bright, springy colors because there's a lot of not great news out there, and I wanted some happy, happy colors to cheer us all up this evening. So we're going to start actually with the Melon Mambo. We're going to stamp the larger tulip image. So in the stamp set, we have 3 sizes. So there's a big one, there's a medium, and a small. So we're actually using the medium and small on this particular project. So I'm going to stamp the medium one in Melon Mambo ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp it a few times, 3 to be exact, sort of along the bottom edge of my cardstock here. And you'll notice that I'm going off the edges. That's on purpose. I want it to look like a little snapshot of a garden. So if you take a picture of a garden, chances are you're not going to get all of the picture, all of the flowers in the picture. And you need to keep that in mind when you are stamping flowers as well, because it's going to look much more coherent if you have some of your flowers going off the edge. It's going to look a little bit more realistic. Okay, now I'm bringing in the Daffodil Delight with the smaller tulip image. I'm going to ink that one up. And again, I'm going to add some of the yellow tulips, but I want to take care to leave some space in between so that I can add some leaves. Okay, super quick and simple. Then I'm going to come in with my Granny Apple Green And I'm going to bring in one of the leaf stamps. There are several leaf stamps in this set. And I want to, actually before I do that, I need to do my stem for my tulip. So I'm going to bring in my stem first. And I am simply going to just add a little stem right there. Okay, so that tulip isn't floating. We never want floating tulips. That's a bad thing. And then I'm going to come in, and I'm actually going to use the skinny end of this leaf because it's going to be easier to tuck in between the blooms there. Okay, and again, I'll add one here, and I'll add another one over here. Okay, maybe I can get just the tip of it in between these guys. Yeah, there we go. There's our little tulip garden. Isn't that simple? So easy. All right, now before I do anything with that, we are going to stamp. I'm going to show you how to get this texture on this piece of yellow cardstock. So this is a piece of Daffodil Delight. Hi, Mary Jane. How are you? Hi, Laura Bart. How are you doing? Who else is here? We've got most of Southern Ontario represented. That's awesome. Okay, so this is a piece of Daffodil Delight cardstock, as I said. It is 2 inches wide by 5.5 inches long. Okay, so it is going to be size the length of my card base. And then I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight ink. I'm going to clean that stem stamp that I used earlier. And we are going to use that horizontally to create the stripe pattern on our cardstock. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. And the trick with this is you want to start, again, off the edge of the page, okay? Because you want it to look like you've cut this from a piece of DSP, okay? So it's going to look better if you start off the page and you just work your way down. Okay, so and again, I'm not really worrying about making sure they're all spaced equidistantly, and I'm not really worried about making sure they're all straight. The whole point of this is to add some texture and interest to this cardstock as another element on our card. And I'm going to do one more down here, and that's probably good. Okay, there you go. How easy was that? Hi, Huda. How are you doing? Hi, Nancy. How are you doing? Hope you guys are having a good week. Hi, Karen. All right, so that's it. So simple, right? Now it's just a matter of assembly. So we are going to start by folding our card base. So I have a card base here that I've cut from thick Whisper White. If you are a beginner stamper, you can absolutely use regular Whisper White for your card bases. I like the thick because it's a little bit heavier, but if you are working with limited supplies, just regular white cardstock absolutely works. So I've cut this. This is basically just an 8.5 by 11 sheet that I've cut in half. So I've cut it 4.25 by 11 inches, and then I've scored it in the middle at 5.5. So I'm going to fold in half along my score line, crisp that up with my bone folder, and then I'm going to adhere that striped piece of cardstock about, I don't know, 1/2 inch over from the left edge. So I'll just add a little bit of adhesive. Doesn't really matter what type of adhesive you use, whatever makes you happy. I'm using a retired adhesive that Stampin' Up! Used to carry that I still very much love and am missing and I'm hoarding. So some people hoard toilet paper. I hoard Fast Fuse. Okay. All right. Hey, Susan Cher, how are you? I did not draw the stripes, Deb. It is just a stamp, so even quicker and easier than drawing with blends, okay? All right, so there is my background. I'm going to bring in my stamped image. And so if you'll recall, this was cut to 4 by 3. This one is 1/8 of an inch larger on each side. So this is a 4 1/8 by 3 1/8. And by cutting it like that, I get a really narrow little border all the way around, which just makes those tulips pop. So we're going to add a little bit of glue. Hello, Julie Darnbro. How are you? How was your week? Whole new experience working from home, isn't it? It's very different. It's very hard to be a music teacher working from home because right now, well, first of all, half my students didn't bring instruments home with them. So it's making it very challenging to teach instrumental music online. Okay, so there we go. That is glued. And then I am going to go ahead and add that. Now, I don't want to glue this right smack in the middle. One of the sort of little tips when you are designing is to think about the rule of thirds. So the eye likes to divide things into 3s rather than even 4ths or halves. So when we're gluing this, we either want to glue it more towards the bottom or more towards the top, not smack in the middle, okay? It just has it's visually more pleasing. So I'm going to glue it a little bit more towards the top. Again, actually, you know what? This time we're going to pop it up. So I'm going to use some dimensionals. Again, if you are a beginner stamper and don't have a lot of supplies, dimensionals are one of those must-haves if you ask me. I have a hard time designing anything without adding some dimension to them. However, they are not essential. For me, they are essential, but they are not essential to be able to make a card. You can absolutely just use any regular old glue will work. I just like adding the extra pop. Okay, so I'm going to glue this on and I'm going to attempt to get it straight. So I use my grid paper to help me line these up. And we're gonna pop it on. You're gonna see that I have just a narrow little border on either side of the card base like that. Okay, all right, the last thing is to stamp our sentiment. So here I have, this is 3/4 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches long. Nope, 2.5 inches long, I lied. So 3/4 by 2.5. And I am going to stamp my Happy Mother's Day in the same green that we used on the leaves, grainy apple green. And again, I want to make sure that I center this and get it relatively straight. We're gonna just hope and pray, because again, when I'm doing a video, I can't look straight down. That's not bad. We can live with that. All right, so then I have a little layer here. So this is more of that Melon Mambo cardstock. And again, I've cut it 1/8 of an inch larger than my white piece. Okay, so this was 2.5, so this is 2 5/8. This was 3/4, so this is 7/8 wide. Okay, and then when I glue that on, I get that same narrow little border all the way around. So I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the back of the white piece. And we're gonna pop it right on there, just like that. Okay. They do, Laura Bart, I agree. They give, dimensionals are one of my favorite things. I have a hard time designing without them, but it is possible. Hi, Chris Kennedy, how are you? Thanks, Julie, for sharing. I appreciate it. Hello, Heather Grotto, how are you? So we're gonna add, again, a little bit of dimension to this one as well, because I can. And because I want to. It's not necessary, but why not? We have dimensionals, so we'll use them. So we're gonna, whoops, get rid of those backings, and we're gonna pop this on in that upper right corner. Hopefully that's relatively straight, just like that, okay? And then my last touch is, well, it's the thing that I do, and that is to add some spatters of Wink of Stella, because it just makes everything better. It's like pixie dust, right? You just add a little pixie dust with your Wink of Stella, and it just adds just that extra little bit of shimmer. Okay? All right, that is number 1, done and done. Super easy, right? Let's get those out of the way. And I'm gonna get rid of these 2 inks, because I do not need them, and we'll get rid of our Happy Mother's Day. And we're gonna move on to number 2. All right, number 2 is this pretty card. Now, this to me would be an awesome Easter card as well. There is a Happy Easter sentiment in this stamp set as well. And I think many of us are going to be sending Easter cards rather than getting together with family this year. So making Easter cards, this may be the first time you ever make Easter cards, but it absolutely is something that we're probably going to have to think about doing this year. In fact, next week, I'm going to be all about Easter treat holders, Easter cards, Easter ideas. Okay? All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this one. The first thing we're going to do is add this little bit of texture to the background. Now, if you were watching last week, you saw me do this. This is a really slick way to add just a little hint of texture to plain cardstock to add some interest to a card without needing a big shot and embossing folders and all of the paraphernalia that all of us have and love. Because not all of us have it. Some of us are starting out and we do not have all of the wonderful goodies. So I'm going to show you how to add this texture. So all I have here is a piece of Whisper White cardstock. It is 4 by 5 1/4. Oh no, all your stamps are away. Oh, that's so sad. Hi Brenda, how are you doing? So this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4 inches, okay? And I am going to insert it horizontally into my trimmer. And I'm going to start on the right edge ruler, okay? So I'm here. Can you guys see that? I'm probably too high. Let me bring that down so you can see better. There we go. Okay, so I'm starting at 3/4 of an inch, okay, and I'm just going to score. And then I'm going to move out 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to score again. And I'm going to move out another 1/8 of an inch, so now I'm at 1 inch. And I'm going to score again. How many did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to keep going. So another 1/8 of an inch. And one more time. Like that. Okay, and then when I flip that over, you'll see I've got these cute little ridges here that add really, really easy texture. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other end, but I'm going to start, actually, where am I starting this time? I'm starting at 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches. 1.25 inches? Did I start at 1.25 inches? No, I think I started at 1 inch. Okay, so I'm starting at 1 inch, and I'm going to do the same thing. So 1 inch. Slide out, slide out again. So each time I'm moving 1/8 of an inch. How many is that? Is that 4? 1, 2, 3. One more. And last one. There we go. Okay, and again, when I flip that over, now I have, and you'll notice again that this is not symmetrical. Okay, I did that on purpose. Yes, it was close, Heather. I need to park that cutting blade way down at the bottom when I'm doing this so that I don't run the risk of cutting. It has happened on more than one occasion. Okay, but this is, do you see the cute little embossed lines that adds to your cardstock? Just a really quick and easy way to add texture if you do not have access to a big shot. All right, so now let's do some stamping. So we are going to do some stamping on this white strip. So this is cut to 2 inches by 4. Okay, it's the same width as our base here. Okay, and we're going to stamp our stems and leaves first. So I need to clean my straight stem because it's got yellow ink on it, and we don't want yellow stems. And so there are 2 stems in this stamp set. We've got straight one and a curved one. So I'm going to start with the curved ones, and I'm going to do the 2 outermost stems. So I'm going to do one, and then to get it curving the other direction, I just flip it upside down. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to do my straight one right up the middle. Hope that was somewhat centered. It's kind of centered. It's a little bit off. I wasn't really paying attention. I was too busy talking. And then I'm going to come in with some leaves, and I'm going to add some greenery. And again, I kind of want to make this look like it's a bouquet, right? So it's kind of gathered. And I'm actually going to use this wider leaf just to mix it up a little because tulip leaves are not all symmetrical. And there we go. Okay, there are our stems. Super easy. And then I'm going to bring in just a scrap of white cardstock and my large tulip and some gorgeous grape ink. Now you're going to notice the tulips on this card are not the same shade as Gorgeous Grape. You see how this is Gorgeous Grape here, this is lighter. This is not Highland Heather, even though you may think so. All it is Gorgeous Grape stamped off once. So if you want to get additional shading, so this is another beginner tip. If you have limited colors and you are wanting to get lighter shades, all you do is ink up your stamp, stamp off once, and then stamp on your cardstock. Okay, and you get that lovely lighter shade. And that to me is so springy. I just love it. So I'm stamping 3 of these. Now, if you have the punch, you could absolutely punch these out, but I wanted to show that you don't need the punch to do these. It is totally possible to fussy cut these, okay? So all you need is a decent pair of scissors, and I'm going to come pretty close to my image. You can, if you want it to look like the punch, you can leave a little bit of a border. The punch does leave a bit of a white border. I've actually had some people tell me they don't like the white border that the punch leaves, and they always fussy cut their tulips. So it is entirely up to you what your preference is. So I'm going to just quickly do these. I didn't do any of them ahead of time, but they're pretty quick and easy to cut. So when you are fussy cutting, and you've probably heard me say this before if you've watched any of my videos before, you want to make sure that you are moving the paper and not the scissors, okay? That is going to give you the smoothest, neatest cuts. When we move our scissors, that's when we get those jagged edges on our fussy cuts or any cuts, and it's not as pretty, right? And it doesn't look quite as tidy. So by moving your paper, you actually get much cleaner cuts. And see, I told you these are really quick and easy to cut out, right? The punch is handy because it's even quicker, but if you have limited funds and you like this stamp set, you can absolutely get away without the punch. So for $23 in Canada, you get these gorgeous stamp images and some lovely sentiments in a really pretty font, I might add. You are absolutely right, Heather. Not having a lot of colors was one of my biggest frustrations when I was a beginning stamper. When I first started, the only color that I owned was Elegant Eggplant. If you guys remember that color. And let me tell you, that got old really fast. The only reason I owned Elegant Eggplant was because it came in a kit that I had. It was the very first thing that I bought. And it didn't take me long to really, really need to get some other colors. Okay, so there are my 3 tulips. That was pretty quick and easy, wasn't it? I think that tulip stamp had something else on it. I'm not loving the color of that because I think it probably had yellow or something on it from my video on Tuesday, but that's all right. I can always swap that out later. So then it's just a matter of attaching our tulips to the stems. And to do that, I'm going to use some dimensionals. It is a gorgeous stamp set, Laura. I agree. I am a tulip lover. Tulips are my very favorite spring flower. And I love the images in this set. I love that there are different sizes. I love all the different leaves. It's so easy to get a natural looking bouquet with the stamp images in this set. Yep, I agree. Stamping off is awesome for more shades, Julie. It is a great little tip, and it was one that I didn't learn right away as a beginner stamper, and I kind of wish I had because it would have meant a lot less frustration for me. Now, did I forget to cut? Oh, I forgot to cut my other layer, so we're going to do that right now. Hold the phone. I forgot to cut my layer from behind here, so we're going to do it right now. So do you remember how wide this was? This was 2 inches, right? So we are going to cut another layer for behind our tulips, and we're going to add 1/8 of an inch. So we're going to cut it 2 1/8. So this is 2, so out 1/8 of an inch. Whoops, that was the scoring blade. That's because I locked my cutting blade away, and that is 4 inches. So that's good. That piece was wide enough. I didn't have to make the second cut. All right, so then this is going to get layered. No, this is not 2 1/8. This is 2 1/4. I cut that the wrong size on live video. Okay, so that was 2 1/4. So this is going to be 2. Let me just double check to make sure I'm cutting this right width. I thought that was, nope, it's 2 1/4. Look at that. So I need to cut 1/8 of an inch larger than 1/4, which is 2 3/8. There we go. That'll be right. Okay, so then we're going to layer this guy on here, and look at that. We get our border just like that. Okay, so we'll add a little bit of Tombow. And my tulips are starting to peek up in my garden. I was out there today looking to see what has started to peek through, and there's a good, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of growth already on my tulips. Now, I don't know what'll happen once the weather gets colder next week, but here's hoping. Spring is coming. All right, so now I'm going to bring back my embossed panel. That's the one that we did the scoring on. And I am going to go ahead and glue that right between those embossed lines, just like that. Okay, and you can decide whether you want the larger space at the top or the bottom. I did, on mine, I did the larger at the top. So we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Again, just a little bit of Tombow. Hi, Krista. How are things in Breslau? Hope you are doing all right with all of the crazy things going on in the world right now. And everybody is staying safe and healthy in your household. All right, so then I have another layer. This is gorgeous grape cardstock again, and it is cut again 1/8 of an inch larger than my white piece. So this was cut to 4 by 5 1/4. So this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So we are going to go ahead and glue that down. Now you'll notice that I am a big fan of layering. I do lots of layers on my cards. I like layers and dimension. In fact, when I first started, I went a little overboard with the layers at times to the point where my cards wouldn't stand up. They were too heavy. It would fall forward. So I have learned a little bit not to layer quite so much, but I do like the added effect that it gives and just the depth that it creates. Okay. All right. So we are going to glue that onto a card base. So this is the other half of that white cardstock that I had cut my first card base from. Hi, Jamie Anderson. How are you? So again, same dimensions, 4 1/4 by 11, scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So we will crisp that up with our bone folder. And then we're going to add, I'll use fast fuse this time. It's a little bit quicker and a whole lot stronger. So we'll add that. And yes, Krista, I'm turning my card upside down just because that's what I do. People always ask me that question about why I glue my cards together upside down. It's just, I don't know, it's just what I do. I don't have a reason. I'm just a little odd that way. Okay, last thing is to stamp our sentiment. This is just a little hello. And I love having cards with a hello on it. I've been sending a lot of cards this week. I think I'm up to about 50 at this point. And these little hello sentiments are awesome because I'm sending cards to people I don't even know. And that is totally okay with me because whoops, it's a little high. We're going to try that again a little bit lower. That's even worse. Oh my goodness. Let's try this. Okay. I need to not talk while I'm doing this. That's my problem. There we go. See, I can't talk and stamp at the same time. Hi, Peggy. How are you doing? Thank you, Peggy. I like this card too. It's nice and springy. So as I was saying, I've been sending cards to various people. Last week during my live video, I asked for you guys to send me the names of people who you thought could use a little pick-me-up in all of this miserable news about this virus. And you guys have been coming through and I love it. I am really enjoying sending out these cards. I'm hearing stories of people that it breaks my heart, some of the things people are dealing with on top of all of the virus stuff that we're all dealing with. So I have been really blessed to be able to send these cards out this week. And I'm going to keep going. I have 100 stamps, or I did. When I started this, I had 100 stamps. And I'm down to about 50, I think. So I'm going to keep sending them. All right. Now, I just trimmed that and I didn't explain what I was doing. So when you want to make a little banner end, I'm going to show you really quickly what I just did. So I cut, if you'll notice, I cut my little strip to the size that I wanted. This is a 1/2 inch wide strip. Okay, it was just a bit of scrap. And then I cut a little slit in the middle, and that's as far in as I want my point to go. Okay, and then I cut from one corner into that little slit and then the other corner into the little slit. Okay, so many of you on my Tuesday videos have seen me use my tailored tag punch to do this, but if you don't have the tailored tag punch, you too can create cute little banner ends just like that. Okay, all right, so let's pop this onto the front of our card. So we're going to add a couple of dimensionals again, and we'll get rid of those backings, and then I glued this right sort of at the base of my bouquet here, and I did it half on and half off the stamped panel like that. Okay, super simple. And then we're going to sprinkle a little pixie dust with our Wink of Stella and just add a little spring rain of sparkle just like that. Okay, isn't that pretty? So pretty. All right, that one's done. Moving on. Let's put the gorgeous grape away. We're not going to need that, and we are not going to need that, or that, or that, or that, or that. Look at that. I can clean up. Okay, moving on. Last one is this one, and this one uses a little bit of a masking technique I'm going to show you. It is not hard, and it is totally something that you can do as a beginner. Okay, thanks, Ann Turner. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good week. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do this. We are going to start with 2 white squares of cardstock. So I have, this one is 3 3/4 inches square, and this one is 2 inches square. Okay, now what I'm going to do is add just, and I mean just, a little smidge of fast fuse to the back of my 2-inch square, and I am going to glue this centered on my 3 3/4 inch square. Let me move this down a little bit just to make sure that I get this centered. So I am kind of using my grid lines to help me get this centered. It is not easy to do. And honestly, if it's not perfect, it's not the end of the world, but we're gonna try and get this as close to centered as we can. There we go. Okay, so I just kind of tacked that in place like that. All right. Okay, now we are gonna do a little bit of stamping. So I have some Bermuda Bay ink. This again is from the Brights family. And I have my smaller or smallest tulip. I'm just gonna give it a clean because it had yellow ink on it. And I am going to stamp around this 2-inch square. Okay, so I'm going to start in the corners. So I'm going to go 1, and I want to press quite firmly so that I make sure that I'm getting as much of the image as possible. Okay, there'll be a little gap. That's okay. We're going to hide that. So we're going to do each corner just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to fill in the middle. And in the middle, I'm actually going to go a little bit higher than I did on the corners so that I see a little bit more of that tulip. Okay, and then one more. Oh, that one's not inked. Let's go a little bit higher there. Okay, simple. All right, so then I'm going to bring in my Granny Apple Green and that skinny stamp, leaf stamp again. And I'm going to add some leaves in between my tulips. Okay, don't worry about the fact that this little white square is looking pretty nasty right now. It's okay. Oh, that one did not stamp well. Let's see if we can do a better job of that. The nice thing about photopolymer as well is if you don't get a great image the first time, with a little bit of care, you can line it back up and restamp. There we go. Okay, don't worry about this. Just look at that. Isn't that a cute little wreath? Okay, so then we are going to pop this off ever so gently. Okay, and we're gonna rub off that fast fuse that we added. I need my adhesive eraser. Do I have it? Yes, I do. So we're gonna get rid of this. If you do not have one of these, you need one. Stampin' Up! Used to carry these. Sadly, we do not anymore. However, I have heard you can get them at Dollar Tree. So go get one. Well, not now. We're social distancing right now. When this is all over, go get one. Okay. So now I can use the back side of this to stamp my sentiment. Okay. So I'm going to bring back my Bermuda Bay ink. And hi, Lee. Hi, Cheryl. How are you guys doing tonight? And I have the Get Well Soon sentiment from the Tranquil Tulip set. So I'll just show you that for a sec. Okay. It is this one. So it goes straight across. However, I want it to go stacked. Okay, so all I did is a little bit of surgery and I cut the soon off of my Get Well. Now people get really alarmed when I do this. It's okay. Okay, it is totally okay to cut up your stamps. It makes them more versatile. If I want to do it straight across again, I just butt this up against this on a block and mount them together, and it's like they were never cut. Okay, so but by cutting it this way, it allows me to stack the greeting instead of having it go straight across. So I'm going to ink up my Get Well and stamp that. And then I'm going to add my soon. And it's going to tuck right up underneath and hopefully be relatively straight. Okay, and then at the bottom, I'm going to add another little tulip, but this time I'm going to stamp off. And I'm going to add a little leaf and the Granny Apple Green. And again, stamped off. Yeah, that's good. I was going to add another one, but I don't think I need to. I think it's just fine. All right, so now we do some assembly. So I have 2 Bermuda Bay squares that are cut, you got it, 1/8 of an inch larger than the white one. So this was 2-inch square, so this is 2 1/8. Okay, so that's going to get glued onto there. So do I, Julie. I love that font. Yes, and it is okay to cut stamps. I should have done it live and really freaked you all out. One day I will. One day I will actually cut my stamp live on during a live video, and you guys will all just have a heart attack. It'll be fun. Okay, so there is that one. And then I have my Wreath one. This was 3 3/4 inches square. And this is cut to 3 7/8. Okay, the Bermuda Bay layer. So again, we're going to go ahead and add a bit of glue there. Oopsie. Come on. There we go. Make sure our corners are glued. And we'll pop that on there. Okay, and then this is going to get popped right on there, and that's going to clean up that rough edge. We're not even going to see it, and we're just going to see those beautiful stamped tulips peeking out from behind. Okay, so we're going to pop that up. Okay, now I had somebody ask me, I showed this to someone else, and they asked why I needed to have that square down initially. You can do it without. I just like having it there as a visual guide so I can kind of get my tulips all spaced equally and have them, you know, peek out equally from behind the square. So we're going to just center that right about there and hope that's straight. Okay. All right. So we're going to do just a little bit of scoring on this one. Same idea that we did on the last one. This time I am starting at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to start at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Get my cutting blade out of the way. Thank you, Heather, for the warning. And then we're going to go another 1/8 in. And another 8. Did I do 3 or 4 on this one? 1, 2, I did 4. Okay, and then one more, just like that. Okay, so now I have my 4 little score lines along the edge. And then I can go ahead and glue my layered squares on. And I'm gonna kind of center it. No, I'm not. I'm going to have it flush on 3 sides. And then you're going to see that those score lines, I don't know how well that shows on the camera, but those score lines are centered here. Okay, so they go right down the middle there. It's almost like having ribbon on there. So we're going to add, again, a little bit of adhesive to the back of our square. And pop that on there. Just like that. Relatively straight. And then here I have a Bermuda Bay card base. So this is cut to 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Hello, Debbie Colby. How are you? How are things in Virginia? I'm going to fold in half along my score line. I hope you guys are keeping well. It is a super quick card, Nancy. So I wanted to show, so on Tuesdays I show more involved cards, and on Fridays, well, as long as I can, once everything gets back to normal, I probably won't be able to continue doing my Friday videos, because that's normally when I have classes on Friday nights. But since I'm not doing classes right now, I thought I would show you guys some simple stamping ideas using the same stamp set that I feature on Tuesdays, so that you can see some quick and easy ideas as well as some simple or some more involved ones. Okay, and before we're done, of course, we're going to add our little sprinkle of pixie dust right across there. Flicky flicky, little touch of sparkle. All right, there you go, done and done. Let me bring in the other 2, and you guys can see how easy it is to make really cute projects with really limited supplies. Okay. Yes, Debbie, we are all good. I'm feeling very thankful and blessed. Honestly, I know this is stressful for everyone, but honestly, it could be so much worse. We are safe. We have a beautiful home to be in. We have more than enough to eat. We're all home together. We're all healthy. And so I am super thankful for that, and just trying to continue to count my blessings in all of this. And I would really encourage you guys to do the same. It is a scary time. And if we allow ourselves to get sucked into the fear and the unknown and the uncertainty, it can really play some head games with us. So I would encourage you to just focus on the here and now, focus on your blessings, and just take it one day at a time. Okay, everybody? Thank you guys. I'm glad you all like these. I hope you give them a try. Some of these may be just coming your way. If I have your contact info, you may just find one of these in your mailbox one of these days. Okay? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this Friday evening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are and in whatever situation you may find yourself. Be safe, be well, and I'll see you again on Tuesday. Bye for now.